107 FM. Yes, a beautiful Wednesday morning, the 23rd day of October 2024. Definitely, my name is Michael Young. And I'll be sitting in for Kimberly, who is unavailably absent today. Today on Spotlight, we'll turn the sport into one thing. Some, I would say Nigerians maybe dancing over while the governors are also trying to also make their impact known. That is the battle between the EFCC facing a legal battle with the governors, and also 16 state governors has called for the scrapping of EFCC, NFIU, and Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit. Let me let you know that Nigerians begin to accept and fear EFCC with the arrest of some fraudulent individual. This act, or this EFCC, was established on December 12, 2002 by the former president Olusegun Obasanjo. Started with the pioneer chairman, who is Malam Nuhu Ribadu, who was the pioneer chairman. And it was also said that 16 state governors have a consolidated suit before the Supreme Court, challenging the law establishing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Just like in the case of concerning financial autonomy for local government areas, all eyes were on the Supreme Court yesterday when it heard the suit challenging the constitutionality of the law establishing the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Well, in the case of financial autonomy, the state government were defendant in the suit filed by the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi. Well, this time, it is now the state government being the plaintiff against the EFCC establishment law. We have a public political affairs analyst and a democratic rights activist. We have Mr. Biodun Showumi. Mr. Biodun, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, I would say first, let's start. What came to your mind when you had this suit filed by 16 state governors, saying that EFCC should be done with? I mean, they don't want anything like the EFCC. And it baffles me sometimes when I felt it was just the youth of Nigerians, because at a point, the youth were concerned about this EFCC because of cyber crimes and all that. But right about now, it's the governors. And there were also claims, let me take you back a little, there were also claims that, the establishment of EFCC was in response to pressure from the Financial Action Task Force of the money laundering, also known as the French name Groupe Action Financière, which is to say like an intergovernmental organization founded in 1989 on initiative of the G7 as a group of seven, an intergovernmental political forum, which is constituted of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, UK, and also the United States of America, to develop policies to combat money laundering. But then it got heater and heater and heater, and that's why this was established. So a lot of 16 states right now have come out to say this should be scrapped. What came into your mind when you received this news?
Yes, it's not a new thing. What the state governments are trying to do is not new. Probably this is about the third challenge, to these institutions. In the first instance, we need to try and understand the argument. The arguments of the state government is that the EFCC, ICPC, and FIU were created as a result of a United Nations Convention, as a result of a treaty which was signed by the federal government. Of course, that is correct, that Nigeria actually did sign a treaty. And as far as the state governments are concerned, for it to be effective and applicable in the states, majority of the states must sign it, and those states that fail to sign it, the treaty will not apply there. But the argument of the federal government is totally different. The federal government is saying, yes, it is true, we have a treaty, UN treaty signed by the federal government, but that law itself has been domesticated, by the National Assembly, and that there is no need for the state houses of assembly to domesticate the same law
Okay.
again, that once it's been domesticated through an act of parliament by the National Assembly, then that should be the end of the matter. Yes, this position has been pleaded in a case involving Ondo State government on the issue of ICPC, and of course, the Ondo State government lost that case, and now we have another issue that came up on NFIU, I think May this year. Again, it went against the state. So now we don't know what would happen because more states have joined, and one way or the other, they are more or less bringing the same issues, for determination by the Supreme Court.
Okay, sorry to come in. Recently, I think yesterday, Adamawa and Anambra withdrawn suits.
Yes, 3 of them withdrew, but the numbers of states involved are still 19, notwithstanding the withdrawal of those 3. But we should not forget that the Supreme Court has not had the opportunity to look at this case. The last case ended up at the Court of Appeal in May this year, where the states lost. But with Supreme Court ruling, this will finally put a stop to those challenges, either in form of EFCC, ICPC being declared illegal or being declared legal. So whichever way, that will stop the uncertainty. But interestingly, you will ask you a question whether it is the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians for corruption to thrive, without any challenge to it in any form. The essence of EFCC, ICPC, and NFIU, it's strictly to address the weaknesses of the Nigerian police force, which over a period of time, we've seen the inadequacy of the serious fraud unit, to handle complex cases like that. So that's why we have specialized agencies to deal with it. We have seen situations where former governors have been convicted, sent to prison. We've seen Senator Farouk Lawan just came out of prison just yesterday. And we've seen situations where billions of dollars, naira and dollars, have been retrieved, from people who stole them.
Okay, so let me come in. Let me come in with what your comment just now said. Naira and dollars have been retrieved, but you and I know that this money that are retrieved, we've not heard anything about it, and that's the concern of Nigerians. Yes, that's the concern of some of the youth. They'll say, "Oh, EFCC come after them. They were being arrested. They were being, approached. A whole lot of their earnings have been taken from them. But then, where is this money going?"
Yes, we should not forget one thing. Is one thing to retrieve the money, is another thing to steal the money. There are two different issues. If we want accountability for money retrieved or recovered, that's a different thing. We cannot, because of that, because we don't know what has happened to the money recovered or whether it's been returned to the states or to federal government, and because of that, we should allow corruption to continue. That would not be a sound argument in any form. So the fact of the matter is there are two different issues. One thing is to stop corruption or reduce it to the barest minimum. The other issue is around recovered loot. What has happened to them? Recovered vehicles, what happened to them? Recovered properties, what has happened to them? So these are issues which can be dealt with. But the primary task is, in the first instance, to stop people or discourage them from looting them in the first instance. You can see recently, we had a case involving Yahaya Bello. Yahaya Bello was still facing a staggering sum of allegations of embezzling 80 billion naira. And in the course of that, they came up with new allegations.
They even started, they also started it from Kogi State anyway.
Beg your pardon?
I said the whole suits, questioning EFCC started from the states.
Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. The EFCC came out with further charges of over 130 billion naira. We cannot have a country where these allegations, they just don't come from the air. Because I remembered when the federal government gave bailout to the states, I remember the issue of the 20 billion, which was recovered from an account, which eventually was returned to Kogi State. An account allegedly linked to Yahaya Bello. I'm sure many people would remember that case. So therefore, there is no smoke without fire. If the whole money is not up to 240 or 220, as EFCC is claiming, there's some money somewhere that has to be accounted for. So we can't create a country where corruption thrives and then agencies, responsible for dealing with corruption, are incapacitated through the actions of those who should really have interest in ensuring that EFCC, ICPC, and NFIU, are highly operative. So it's the kind of country we have, trying to show that we have a high tolerance for corruption, which is not the real Nigeria we all know. But of course, that is the desire of some looters in our country.
All right, interesting there. I mean, before we open the phone lines to Nigerians, let me take you through, Mr. Biodun. I mean, the FATF has ranked Nigeria as one of the 23 countries that were not cooperative in the combined effort to fight money laundering globally, due to identified inadequacies in the 2002 Establishment Act. Also, the National Assembly then had repealed it and reenacted the 2004 Establishment Act, which was signed into law on June 4th, 2004 by the then President Olusegun Obasanjo. So, I mean, do you think that the main purpose of Olusegun Obasanjo establishing this establishment, EFCC, is being it's fulfilling its purpose right now?
Yes. I remembered when EFCC was created, it was faced with allegations of it was created to hunt opposition parties. And that was when PDP was in power. And of course, the fear of EFCC became the beginning of wisdom for those accused of looting the treasury. Now, we now have the then opposition now in power, PDP now in opposition. We are still faced with the same allegation. My own view then, when those allegations were made, is that, look, if you have two sets of thieves and you are arresting one, you have not arrested the other, who is my friend. At a point in time, let the opposition come in also and arrest the other person. And that's exactly what we've seen going on. And now EFCC since then has actually transformed, factually speaking. We have seen EFCC not only dealing with people in opposition parties, but also investigating APC governors. That is why you see a cross-party, challenge to the EFCC, ICPC, and NFIU Act, which is currently going on at the Supreme Court. It's simply because all of them were now involved. So the allegations of they are hunting PDP or hunting APC is no longer there. All political parties, governors are